friends! I am so excited you're here today because I'll be talking about all the books I read in March. I ended up reading 18 books in March, which is a lot still, I know, but is down from the rest of the year for sure. Yeah, things just got really busy. I'm still busy in April as well. But yeah, let's just get right into it. I did manage to do 2 vlogs. Definitely not, one of the vlogs is a vlog I definitely did not have plans for in any way. And yeah, it's just like an end of the month vlog. But yeah, so let's get right into it. So I started off the month by doing a Reading Evil doll vlog, evil toy vlog. I think it ended up being dolls though. You know, not just general toys. And I had a lot of fun with that vlog. I ended up reading The Toy Maker by Sergio Gomez in that one, and that is an epically long book. It was very, very long, and sadly I still ended up giving it 2 stars, which is really a bummer for me. But there was some stuff in it that I liked, but it just went on way too long. And then I ended up reading Bad Dolls by Rachel Harrison. This is a short story collection where one of the stories is a doll story, and I really liked that story. It was like a grief-centric story in it, but I also really liked all the other stories in it because Rachel Harrison is an awesome writer and writes so well about the female experience, but incorporating it into horror. And I gave this collection 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. And then I read The Bad Seed by William March, and this was a psychological thriller. I wouldn't say it's a horror book necessarily, but we are, I'm like, we're following a child serial killer. Yeah, and that is a part of this, but I think the big part of it is the mother actually like doing the investigation parts of it. Those are the parts I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the mom having to come to terms with this the horror of being a mother to this child. Yeah, I really liked it. And there's language used in this that, you know, is not used anymore. This book was written in the 60s, so just a heads up for that. And I gave this one 3 stars. And then I ended up reading Charlotte Says by Alex Bell. This is the prequel to Frozen Charlotte. This is about the girls' school when it was opened in the early 1900s, and I had a blast with this. This actually scared me a couple times. There's these great scenes with the suspense of the Frozen Charlottes just tapping away on the glass casing and like scurrying around the room, and like there's just like a lot of that in this. That is one of my favorite things about doll movies in itself, and doll books and doll stories. I just love that sense of horror and dread done in like tiny little footsteps and tiny little hands. Like I just love it. I love that. That's what I'm here for, the evil doll stuff. So yeah, I think in my vlog I said this was a 4-star. I might have said it was higher than that, but I have thought about certain scenes in this, and this is an incredibly dark book as well. It is YA, but it is still very dark. Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards like a 4.5 or a 5-star for it. I really enjoyed it. And then Dollies, I believe this is the last doll book I read for that vlog. This ended up being more sci-fi than horror, and it dragged on forever in it. I will say I did enjoy this. I gave it 3 stars, and I will say it is a relatively good book for it having like this awesome vintage cover. I did enjoy it, but again, it just dragged on way too long, and it also like was sci-fi. It wasn't technically horror in it, and I needed more of those suspense moments in it with the dolls itself. Before I get into the other books, I do want to talk about a DNF because it is part of my 24 and 24 is Mind Stealer, I wanted to say Melter, by Lee Dugan. I DNF'd this at about 90 pages. I don't see myself picking it back up, so I do need a replacement for my 24 and 24 paperback from hell list. This book was so stupid. It was just like, the people in it were really annoying. It's like a setup. It's like a CIA training happening in the woods, and like nothing was actually happening. They were just like, wow, we're in the woods, that's crazy. And yeah, I could not sit down and physically put myself through this. So yeah, here we are. We have an awesome cover. But yeah, the story was too bad to get through the first 100 pages even. The next couple books I read are arcs and technically new books, so I'm just going to get into that. I read Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. This came out at the end of March, I believe. I'm probably totally wrong, but I had an arc of this one and I really enjoyed it. This is like a vacation horror, I feel like. This is about a family that goes to Italy and they stay in a bungalow house. They stay in a house with, like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful all around, but there's something very evil inside the house. I will say the family drama stuff in this really irked me at the first half. The first half of the book, it felt like a 3-star for me, but towards the end it came back around for me and I ended up giving it 4 stars. And the next book I ended up reading was The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This comes out in May or June, I believe, and I had an arc of it and I was like, I really need to read this. And I really enjoyed it. I will say this is more of like a thriller horror book, not like a full-on horror. I've seen this compared to Mayfly, but I think Mayfly is like full-on horror and disturbing, more disturbing than this one. This one is just like a little baby disturbing. So we follow our character is being like more and more isolated every day. Her dad ends up leaving and then her friends end up leaving. Like, it's just, she's feeling alone, and her mom gets a new boyfriend she can't stand, and there's just like a lot of stuff going on. You know, life is hard, school is hard, and there's a lot of pressure, and you know, she just starts having this urge to eat a certain body part. And that's all I'm going to say about this one. I did really like the end of this one, but again, I do feel like it's more of a thriller book, so just go into it knowing that it's not going to be like a Mayfly. And I give this one a really high 4. I'm thinking like a 4.5 for it. I did really enjoy it. And then I ended up reading Youthjuice by E.K. Satoon. I had the audio arc for this one on NetGalley, and this one was okay. It felt like it was trying to be Rouge a little bit from Mona Awad, but not. Honestly, it felt like another kind of beauty horror industry book that we're seeing a lot of these days, but it's told in a very boring way, like a very straightforward way, and it just kept going, and I actually was really bored by this one, but where it does go, I did like, and the ending I liked. So I'm thinking like a 2.5. I was really bored throughout it, and maybe round up to 3. I still enjoyed it towards the end, but again, yeah, it just didn't blow me away, and I kept thinking about Rouge by Mona Awad, and I was like, that's done so much more interestingly than this one. I don't know. This one felt like just very what's the word, like dry, I guess, for a beauty horror book. But yeah, if you're into beauty horror right now, I think it's having a moment for sure. You could check this one out. And then I read The Old Lady by Christopher Triana. This one actually came out at the end of February, and this is his new extreme horror book. I would say, it's like the least extreme, I feel like, from him. There's extreme violence and gore in it, but it, psychologically speaking, it is not super disturbing. There is some disturbing stuff with our main character, but the level, I guess, it's not Gone to See the Riverman messed up. This is actually one of my favorite Triana books, I think. I've read in a while, in a really long time. So we follow this woman who is just released from prison, and she's going to her father's cabin in the woods. It's an isolated horror setting. It's wintry, and she's gets a knock on the door from a girl who says these crazy people have taken her friends, and you're following both of the kids and the old lady. And the old lady, you learn some stuff about her past, how she was raised. Her father was a survivalist and basically hid out in this cabin and raised her there, and he told her horrific stuff about being a POW in Vietnam War and traumatized her beyond belief, but she is a trained killer, so it's very interesting. A lot of stuff going on in this one and a lot of fun. I will say you spend a lot of time with a lot of characters in this that I didn't care about at all. I only cared about the old lady. And I really liked the ending of it, and yeah, this is one of my favorites from him in a while, and I gave it 5 stars. I had a blast with it. It's really kick-ass, and yeah, check it out if you're into some survival horror. And now, the week of weird. I did not vlog my week of weird, but I had an amazing week of weird. If you guys don't know what that is, it is a readathon hosted by the lovely Crystal from Fiber Artsy and Jason from Jason's Weird Reads. And it is a week of just reading weird books. When I think of the weird, I think of cosmic, right? I think of cosmic, really creature features, all that fun stuff. Environmental horror, that's like stuff I usually think of. So of course I had to pick up Sister Maiden Killer Monster Killer, what? Sister Maiden Monster by Lucy A. Snyder. This is a cosmic, apocalyptic, futuristic world. This is a pandemic book, so if you do not want to read about pandemics because it still hits a little close to home, I don't recommend this, because this starts out in the height of like a pandemic that is COVID-esque, and I believe COVID is referenced, but it is definitely not COVID. It kind of reminded me of where Queen Latifah is in that dystopian. This is like the beginning of it a little bit, or like how they got there, or like how it happened. But yeah, I really, really liked this one. I read this in a day. I listened to it very, very quickly, and the horror in it is fantastic. It's a lot of body horror. It's really gross, and we follow 3 women who are basically, they're going through their own transformations with this new virus, is what you're told it is at the beginning, and just how they adapt, or like how they're useful in it. It's very crazy. It gets very, very weird at the end, and it ends on a huge cliffhanger. Disgusting, vile, gross. I loved it. 5 stars. Next book I ended up reading for a week of weird was Flesh by Richard Lehman. Yes, I read another Lehman book. I'm in it. I told you guys I'm in it. And I did actually enjoy this one. If you guys don't know why I'm reading Lehman books, I'm reading Lehman because my friends Kelsey from Simon Slashers and Christine from Secrets Reads, they're doing a year of Lehman, and for March it was Flesh, and I read it and I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. I don't know if it's because I'm just used to the general brand of horror that Lehman writes, or the general horrifying amount of the word rump being used. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just like getting used to it. I'm just numb to it. But this reminded me of a really goofy episode of The X-Files or something. And yeah, I enjoyed it. 3 stars. I don't have anything else to say about it. And then I read Transmuted by E. Harms. This is a Rewind or Die book. If you guys don't know what Rewind or Die, it is a novella series on Kindle Unlimited. I think they're still on Kindle Unlimited. I actually listened to this one on Scribd, and it was like a super quick listen. And yeah, this is a novella about, I forget her name, but she's looking for gender affirming surgery, and she raised the money finally, but she ends up having to give it to her dad because he gets really sick, and now her only option is to go with an experimental doctor that I believe was like targeted advertisement or something. It was very sketchy, and some stuff starts to happen. This is body horror extravaganza happening in this one. Lots of weird stuff happens, and it's really gross and fantastic and great. I think what the author does in this in such a short amount of pages is outstanding. Like, they tell this really crazy story, and you're just like, wait, I need more information. I think that was my biggest thing. I needed a lot more information, and you kind of get a hint of it at the end, and you're like, okay, I just need more though. Like, it's just too weird. It gets really big. It goes, I don't want to say all the way to the top, but it gets that big. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was very, very weird. I gave it 4 stars. I just wanted there to be more. I would love this to be like 300-page book. And I read The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gold. So I think I talked about this in my end of the month vlog that I did. Yeah, I ended up giving this one 3 stars. I'm not really going to talk about it a ton. It's like a supernatural small town YA story. I don't think I talked about Mostly Dead Things by Kristen Arnett. I started this for Week of Weird because I was told this is like weird fiction. It's weird, but it's not that weird. It felt very 6 Feet Under-esque, and it was not weird to me at all. It was just a lit fic book about a, what's it called? Taxidermist. A taxidermist girl. She takes over her father's business or whatever. Lots of family drama in it. I just did not think this was weird, and I saw it on like a TikTok list thing of being a weird book. It's just lit fic and 6 Feet Under. I don't know. I still enjoyed it though. 3 stars. And then I read, I don't think I talked about this one, The Once in Yellow House by Gemma Amor. I've been meaning to read this forever, and this was a really crazy cold book. This was very, very weird and interesting. I'm trying to like phrase it without spoiling it because this would be so easy to spoil. So this is done, the format of this book is set up like an interview. Like one of the survivors from the cult is going to like the woman who survived, that was husband was the leader of the cult, of the Once in Yellow House. That's my biggest gripe of this book, is that they say that over and over again in the book. But it's told that way, and then you get snippets of the wife's diary, and you get like more and more information in that way. But it's very hard not to spoil because stuff just gets like unhinged at this place, and I feel like it happens very, very quickly when she's telling the story. My other thing than repeating The Once in Yellow House all the time in this book is the ending. I just wanted like a bit, like something more creepy to happen, like a little bit more at the end, you know. I feel like the body horror and the creepiness, the cult stuff in it is so good, and then it just kind of drops the ball at the end. I just wanted a little bit more at the end, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's Shining-esque. I feel like I picked this up because people were comparing it to The Shining. I do see where people say that, but I don't think you should go into this thinking it's The Shining at all. But yeah, I would say 3 stars, 3.5 stars. Again, I just want a little bit more at the end, and get ready to hear the title of this, or read the title of this 1,000 times in this book. I read The Center by Aisha Manazir Siddiqui. I'm probably butchering that one, but I read this for Amy's Dark Hearts book club, my friend Amy Noel over here, and I really enjoyed this one. It is a school setting. I think I talked about this in the vlog as well. I just wanted a little bit more from this one too, but overall I really enjoyed it, and I really liked where it went. I think I said in the vlog I didn't expect where this one went, and then when it got there I was like, okay, you gotta go further now, right? But yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I ended my month with The Damnation Game by Clive Barker, and I think I gave this one 4 stars in my vlog, in my end of the month vlog, but honestly, like, I still think about certain stuff in this, like, and it's been a couple weeks, and I'm like, oh, that was gross. Like, I'm still thinking about it, so this might be 5 stars now, just because it continues to gross me out, like, 2 weeks later of what happened in this, and yeah, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Story. It is a bit slower paced story. I think I talked about that. And our main character is very, very flat until like his addiction comes out, his gambling addiction. I feel like he's interesting then, but which is horrible. That is a horrible thing to say. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It is a very zany, crazy ride of a story, but I feel like, again, the humanity elements of good and evil and all that stuff is there with Clive Barker always, but it's very present in this one. And honestly, I think I am giving it 5 stars because I keep thinking about it. And also I keep seeing references to this book in other horror movies and stuff that I've been watching recently, and I'm like, have they read Damnation Game? I wonder. So yeah, I think this is more influential than I even thought. So yeah, 5 stars for sure for Damnation Game. And then I did give 5 stars to Natural Beauty, just because it made me laugh so much. I talked about how funny this was. The satire in it was great. It got really gross and disgusting. The body horror is there. This is another beauty horror book. I'm telling you, it's having its moment, and it's very, very different from Rouge. I will say that. Rouge is its own thing, and this is very, very different. I will say this did read more, I don't want to say flat, than Rouge. It's just because Rouge is just a mind fuck, kind of. Like, you're kind of getting like a fairy tale sucked into. While this one is more straightforward, I feel like, but you're getting like a really compelling story with the main character, and just some weird stuff going on. Like, quit messing with animals and like making them into like beauty objects and stuff, you know? Like, we don't need any more of that in the world. But yeah, very weird, funny. Honestly, just pick it up because it's funny. And yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I would say overall, my favorite books this month ended up being like the weirdest, like craziest stuff happening in it, especially like body horror wise. So I don't know what that says about me now. Have we always known that I liked body horror more than anything else? I don't know. But yeah, how was your guys' March? What were some of your favorite reads from March? Movie wise from March, The Frogman. I think I just love this movie so much. If you guys have not heard of Frogman, I highly recommend renting it. I just rented it on YouTube, and it made my day. It made my week. It made my month. I was kind of bummed out over Imaginary. Well, very bummed out over Imaginary, actually, and I rented this and I was like, I believe in movies again. I believe movies can make me feel things and experience things. And yeah, touche to these filmmakers. This is like an indie little thing, found footage about searching for a cryptid that this guy saw when he was 10 and got it on film. And it goes so hard the last 15 minutes, and I just applaud it. I was glued to the television. It just was disgusting and vile, and yeah, so many words. It was very wet, okay? So yeah, that ended up being my big standout of March. So definitely check out Frogman, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day and a fantastic week. Bye-bye!